Neutron Stars, Stem Cells and Turtles by the Velociraptor, aka Dr. Nat Harris. He joins me now. Hi, Nat.
Hey, how you going?
Sorry, should I be calling you Dr. Harris?
No, that's fine.
What are you actually a doctor in?
In cancer science, so did a PhD in breast and pancreatic cancer metastasis.
Wow, okay. And you're originally a UOW student.
Yeah, big it up.
So you grew up in Wollongong?
Yeah. I grew up in Osti and went to Wollongong High and then Smith Hill and then uni of Wollongong.
When you were at Smiths Hill, did you ever take part in Rockesteadford?
I missed that. I probably would have if I started there in year 7, but I went to in year 11 and 12 because Wollongong High wasn't offering like physics and chemistry, and I was like, what? So I went over to Smith Hill, and by then I was like, I skated and just went to school and hung out with mates. So Rockesteadford was more earlier high school stuff, I say.
You sound like a bit of a Renaissance man. I mean, you're a doctor, but you're a skater and you're also a rapper.
And I played the violin for 8 years, so I like to listen to classical as well.
Can you paint?
Well, with hip hop, one of the elements is graffiti, so I used to get into that and do some big murals. Don't worry, I didn't paint anyone's fences, if that's what you're thinking. It was all nice, big coloured street art, as you good folk like to call it.
Good folk.
We're all good folk.
Of course. It is. Well, it is street art. It's, urban art. All right. So
Modern.
how did you get into doing what you're now doing? I mean, obviously there's two sides of it. There's the sort of science side of it, but then there's also the, you must be into hip hop. Okay. So where did it all start?
Well, I guess my fascination with science definitely was earlier than my fascination with hip hop. When I was a kid, I definitely thought I either wanted to be a doctor, an astronaut, or a soccer player for Australia. And, they all could happen, let's be honest. I could be on a space mission to Mars as a treating doctor, playing, an international soccer game on the way there. So it could happen, right?
I'm not going to rule it out.
No, I don't mean to sound like a braggadocio. No. Definitely like medicine. I always thought doctors were really interesting characters when I used to go to the doctor with my mum or my dad. And then I was interested in that. But then when I was about 12, 13, started listening to hip-hop through skate vids and playing Tony Hawk's on the PlayStation. And then we just, legally downloaded a lot through LimeWire and Napster, a lot of hip-hop tracks, and then shared them amongst mates. And then, delve deeper into what that culture is, which is, expressing yourself through whatever your surroundings are. So that being through freestyling or breakdancing. I tried to breakdance. I wasn't very good. And then, so graph, which is street art. Didn't start sort of trying to freestyle until I was like 16, 17, just kind of with mates as a joke. Just pulling rhymes together. But I guess that did stem also from doing poetry. You have to write poems in, late primary school, early high school. I really got into writing poems. So poetry was definitely there before hip hop as well. So it sort of combined. And then we started a group with 2 of my best mates called Mass Effect. We were like Wollongong's big hip hop. We, shared the stage with many artists. We supported Jizza from Wu-Tang, Pharaoh Monch, and also lots of big Aussie groups like Horror Show, Muffin Platonic, Spit Syndicate, M Phases, etc. And then kind of slowed down because I was in the lab. I started doing honours, and my other mate Benny, the other MC producer for Mass Effect, he worked different hours at SES and the State Emergency Service. And then Luke, our DJ, also producer for Mass Effect, he was a concreter and starting his own business, and so he was like completely different work hours and sleeping hours to, Ben's doing night shift and he's getting up at Sparrows, and then so we couldn't really arrange, hard to meet up and practice, and then we just do gigs, and then sadly that fell away, and then someone put me onto a science research award, which you could explain what you were doing for your PhD work in a 3-minute video. They wanted a video, and it didn't have to be like a music video. It could just be sitting there talking to the camera about what you do. But I just thought, hey, I'll explain my research. So that was in 2015. I did a rap in the lab in one take, just walking through my lab explaining my cancer research. And I was like, wow, that was really fun.
So you're pretty good at freestyling then. I mean, writing poetry, but then being able to just, rap, walking from one room to the other is 2 very different skills.
Yeah, you definitely comes with practice. You got to keep up to date with it, constantly doing it. And it comes in like a cycle. So you're in a cypher, which is a circle of people, someone you really beatboxing or playing instrumentals off a phone or what have you. And then, you go through and say whatever's on your head, topic. Someone might put in a few insertional words, and then you go with that and you just go through it. And you'll find you'll have times where you just like a lot better at it. And even in that one session, you'll do 2 really good verses and then a bad one and then a good one, and you just got to go with it.
Is it easier or harder, the subject matter? Because, I mean, when you're rapping, one of the, tricky things is sort of matching up the, the stanzas and the words and rhyming and everything like that.
Yeah.
With, the content you're rapping about, there's some pretty big and impressive words. Does that make it easier to have those words to work with, or is it actually harder to match those words to other words?
Well, these ones are written ones. They're not, as you would call, freestyle. Freestyle is traditionally like off the top of your head. But yeah, when you are on point and like in the zone, sometimes you can actually do raps about like pretty complex stuff, and using these big words and multisyllabic rhymes as well. But in terms of the ones that I record and release, they're written. But it's interesting, like you kind of just say what you need to say in a story time format, and then put a rhyming few words or phrases at the end of each sentence, and that's how it goes. And sometimes it just flows. I'm sure writers tell you all the time. Sometimes it's like done in like half an hour. Other times you got to come back to it 10 different times. But it's kind of like that with freestyling as well. Sometimes when you're also in the zone as well, you don't really have to think about the rhyme. You're just thinking about what you're saying.
Can you give us some examples of words from your study that you use that are in rapping, like big sort of medical words?
Yeah, for sure. Microbiome it's not that big a word, I guess, but it's definitely
well, that would be hard to rhyme something with.
You're trying to get me to freestyle. I can
no, I don't want you to freestyle. Well, we are going to get you actually to do one of your raps live for us, but I'm just thinking, like a word like orange can't be rhymed with. And you've got all these, really big, long science words that are, hard for the layman to pronounce, let alone use in a poem. Yeah.
Well, the thing with rap, like people like to, not only in the rap world, they like to be sticklers on certain words that don't rhyme. But like as a rapper, you make a word rhyme and you just make it rhyme. Orange, you could rhyme with porridge. You just got to like use your intonations and the way you announce it, and you can get away with it. But yeah, if you're at a table playing, King's Cup for lack of a better drinking game, and people do the rhyme and like, no, it didn't rhyme exactly. You can't use that. Yeah, all right, mate. No worries.
Have a shot. All right. Tell us a bit about your actual career as a doctor, as a PhD student. What did you do?
Yeah, so I did a PhD looking at how breast and pancreatic cancer changes the tissue around it to get it to work for it in order that it can get the nutrients and the blood flow and also the tunnel networks to spread. So there's many genes that are mutated in cancer, meaning genes you can look at as the blueprints for the house being the cell, and proteins being the nuts and bolts in the house. And so they mutate them, and they can like increase the amount of them, of the amount of the genes. So therefore you have heaps more nuts and bolts. And these nuts and bolts might be like making ladders, making slides, chutes, introducing food and transportation to the house. So that house can go wherever it wants, right? And there's many of these little houses being built as well alongside as that's happening. So we're looking at all those different genes and seeing how it's rearranging it. So that specific area is called, it's a big word, here you go, this is one that I use in the raps, the plasminogen activation system. And,
wow, okay.
And so what that basically means in layman's is it's like an engineering and construction company. And it's like the house has got all the workers in it. They basically say, we need more workers, we need more trucks, we need more inventory, and let's build a city. And then what normally happens in a healthy tissue area of the body without mutations is that's kept in check. And when an area, say someone is hit by a car, hitting the hip, and that area is bruised, and a lot of cells, i.e. houses, have died, then once that's healed and fixed, a foreman would come in. The gene, which is a blueprint for the protein of the foreman, he comes to the house and says, stop, tools down, this area is done. But that doesn't happen in tumour systems because it's unregulated and it's mutated. So that the foreman is deleted even, taken out of the blueprint, and it's way more worker bees and truck drivers like that. Yeah, come in and just keep it going. It's like positive feedback constantly. And then it spreads around your body, and 90% of people don't die from that initial one, but they die from the spread of these satellite tumours around the body. So we're trying to stop that spread.
So you're working in Melbourne now, are you?
So I'm doing medicine down here, and I'm also initiating my own research project involved in the microbiome's effects on the spread of cancer. This is quite interesting, and it's kind of new in the field. It's the last 5 years. It's everyone's looking at the microbiome in terms of every types of thing. It's like the neuro-gut axis in terms of how it affects with depression, anxiety, obesity, flight or fight, like all these types of things. But in cancer, it's coming to light. It's well known now that there's microbiome influences in tumours. So the normal ones you eat in yogurt, the normal bacteria, right? It's lactobacillus. There's also lactococcus and bifidobacterium, and these are good bacteria. These are the probiotic ones. And if you take a biopsy of normal breast tissue, that's what you'll see. They'll actually be in the ducts of the breast, these good bacteria. And you take a biopsy of cancer in the breast, and you'll actually see some of the most harmful bacteria that kill people in hospitals. You'll see Staph aureus, B. cereus, you'll see strep pyogenes, and it's like these are actually in the tumour. So we know that they are actually influencing the tumorigenesis or the arise of these tumours, but we are not sure. We can hypothesize that there's, activations in the tumour antigens and cross-reactivity between the microbes and the inflammatory things that are released by the tumour to help it get blood vessels there, the pipes and the shoots, so the tumour can spread. But we don't fully know how it's happening and why it's saying. But we know that people who have good bacteria, good probiosis in their microbiome in their gut also affects this microbiome around their tumour system. And we think that is good prognosis if you have a good microbiome.
Okay, well, fingers crossed my microbiomes.
Did that make sense? Do I need to explain that again, or was that okay?
All right, now, the Velociraptor, where did you get the name from? Because obviously Velociraptor is a thing, like Kid Cudi's a Velociraptor, for example.
Yeah, it kind of has like multi-meanings. You could look at it as a portmanteau of philosopher and rapper. Also Velociraptor. Yeah, just Velociraptor, rapping about philosophies about science.
Well, this is why you appealed to me, because my favourite movie is Jurassic Park, and I do love the Velociraptors.
No. Yeah.
So I do like that. All right, what are you going to do live for us?
Okay, I got this beat that is not fully mixed. It's a rap about cancer that I'm waiting to record. And yeah, so it's an unreleased track about what cancer is. Yeah, get them, Sophie.
Something doesn't feel right inside me. I don't know what's wrong. Haven't felt good in so long. La, la, la.
Yo, some people asking what's cancer. They got a question, so I gotta answer. Pick up my lab coat, head back to the lab. Did you know the cancer is last infographic and start a few ways, and there's many a type. Just tells me take, you best believe the hype. Cancer's causing processes in your making, or too much smoking you're feeding taking. Some people get a narrative from the parents, and others from even more peculiar events. I'ma break it down so you can understand. From a lunch to my stunning DNA strands, see your body is always making new cells for repair and growth. You need fresh organelles, keeping your organs happy and your skin on top. Muscles, nerves, and bones for you to stand up right.
Doctors told me that I have cancer. I had so many questions. Did God give me an answer? La, la, la. Did God give me an answer?
Each cell makes a clone exactly alike, keeping the body's homeostasis right. Damage your body more, gotta make more copies. Hope these cells write mRNA properly. Inside your nucleus, the control sensor, blueprint stored so a new cell runs. Our chromosome split where your genes be set. Each gene is DNA code to transmit. Ribosomes print amino acids fit together to make up a protein. It takes billions to a new cell's constructed. Just hope the code's not interrupted. If there's a mistake, it has ways to correct, but some mutations don't affect the function, so they don't need a junction. Too many coding errors causes malfunction. That cell receives an injunction, signal to die, goodbye. Munchkin, other mutations don't get noticed, so these cells don't have the remotest idea where they are. What's the habitat? You have one job, so I ain't having that. Grows out of control, next week cancer cell. So we begin raising that like an evil general, recruiting troops, drives different cells into the one group. White blood cells, some help, some attack. Fibroblasts carve out a track. Endothelial cells ration out the through. Parasites morph to any cell at once too. Now me up and now your tumor's getting bigger. But what's this end game, man? I'll go figure.
They told me now it is spreading. Ain't nothing they can do. I think I know where it's heading. They told me
Leave
it's
the beat up.
spreading.
Now your tumor release chemicals with vigor. Mutations in its blueprints quicker. Cancer stem cells make the same rigor. Too many proteins produced for that trigger. Stop. At a point like the final solution. Need surgery now, mean to get retribution. A tumor's propaganda towards revolution. Though like eugenics is a fake evolution. Tumors turn anything on and off with ease. Limitless replication, yes please. Metallic inside wants to be God, so it sends its soldiers all around your body, taking over each organ and claiming land. From your right hand to your pituitary gland. Oh damn, man, it's taking command. You don't know we only one they will win a man. Got drugs, radiation, immunotherapy. Too many types, too many without a remedy. No two cancers live identically. And at this moment in time we can't prevent it. We have this health problem ecumenically. Devastation caused incomprehensibly. Shows cancer's high complexity. That's why there's so much research that be making solid progress, most definitely. Worldwide connected scientifically. Delving in bodies knowledge intensely. We're learning new insights on the daily. So that's it for now, gotta get back to the mistress. First gotta say thanks to all your listeners. Such a pleasure, yeah, doing this business. The peace to you all, our hugs and kisses.
Body's feeling empty and weak, not really ready to go. You see the wide-eyed and sleepy. See the wide-eyed and sleepy.
Yeah. That's that rap.
So good, Dr. Nat Harris, aka the Philosopher Rapper. Thanks so much for joining us. That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks.